Hello, happy Friday. Just waiting just a moment before I get started to let everybody join. I hope if you celebrated that you had a great Christmas. We had family in town, so it was fun, a little busy. The house is back to normal for now. Today I'm making, it's called Muhammara. It's a Middle Eastern roasted red pepper appetizer that I'm going to bring to a party at a friend's house tonight. So she's pretty excited to see what I'm making for tonight before her party actually starts. But this is a recipe I've been making for years and years. It's really good. It doesn't have a ton of ingredients, but it's very unique because of a couple ingredients that are a little bit different. All right, I'm going to, while I'm waiting for a couple people to roll in, I'm going to go ahead and measure out and start toasting my walnuts. So for this, you want to use, hi Jennifer, you want to use walnuts. You can get just shelled walnuts. You can get either ones that are like kind of like halves like this, or you can get already chopped ones. We're going to toast them and then you can chop them finer later. Although I guess they do get chopped in the food processor, so you might not even really need to bother with that. I've done this without toasting the walnuts and it's fine. It's totally not necessary. It does add a little bit more flavor, but you definitely don't need to, especially if you're in a hurry. You can just skip it and do everything right in the food processor. So I'm going to do 1/3 of a cup of walnuts, and I'm just going to put them in right now. This is a cold, dry skillet. I mean, cold, it's room temperature. So I'm just going to put the walnuts in there, and then I'll turn it on probably medium, and just kind of shake it every once in a while to make sure that it's getting evenly toasted and that nothing burns. Usually once you smell them, they're ready. And then I like to store nuts in the freezer because they have oils in them that can spoil. So it's it helps to keep them in there. They stay fresh for longer. I just happened to have been out today and had to go get new ones. So that's why I have a new jar. So the unique ingredient for this is pomegranate molasses. So this stuff you have to find, it can be hard to find. Sometimes they have it at like Whole Foods, not very often. I have a hard time finding it. Middle Eastern market, if you have one of those in your area, they'll have it. So you want pomegranate molasses, not pomegranate syrup will work. It's a little different, but and I just realized with this brand at least, you refrigerate it after you open it. So it's just this really thick, let's see if you can see like the texture. It's like, see how slow that moves? It's like a really thick syrup, kind of like, well, molasses, but it's sweet and tangy like pomegranate. So I'm just kind of tossing these around a little bit. What'd you guys do for Christmas if you celebrated? We, my husband's family is Italian and his cousin cooks up a storm and it's delicious. It's like all the food you can imagine and then some with them. It's always a fun time. So in this food processor, I'm going to put a jar of roasted red peppers. So roasted red peppers. Sometimes, like the Spanish food aisle will have them. Hi, Marlo. Oh, Marlo, this is vegan if you don't add the feta on top. FYI. So this dip, it's a really vibrant reddish color from the roasted peppers. You don't need to chop them at all. You can just drain the juice out and put them right in the food processor. The recipe I have on my site says 7 ounce. The jar I found today was 7.5. It's really doesn't make much difference. Gotta kind of toss these walnuts around a little more. They don't smell yet like they're toasting, so let's see. Breadcrumbs. You're going to use plain breadcrumbs for this. Often the store will sell plain and then they'll have seasoned. I usually just buy plain because if I ever want them seasoned, I can season my own. Usually I'll throw in like a mix of dried parsley and maybe a little bit of oregano, something like that, if you need them seasoned. But for this, you're going unseasoned. The cat is staring at me. What? All right. So 2/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs right into the food processor. Do you guys have fun New Year's Eve plans? Where I'm going to be making a ridiculous cheese charcuterie board for a party at my friend's house, per his request. We like to spend the night over at their place for New Year's Eve. Okay, the walnuts when they're ready, which they are not yet. And again, you can totally skip this part. You don't need to toast your walnuts. 2 to 4 cloves of garlic minced and mashed into a paste with a half a teaspoon of salt. So for this, I like using 4 cloves, unless they're huge cloves, but you kind of have to, it depends on if the crowd that you're serving is into garlic. I'm around a bunch of Italians and Middle Easterns pretty often, so we like garlic. So this clove is pretty big, so I'm going to do 3 for today. So you're just going to peel them, and I give them a rough chop first, and then I add the salt onto them. Oh, quick programming note. After next week, I should be back to Fridays, but for live. But next week I'm going to do Wednesday. It's the 2nd. And I was thinking if this is of interest, I will show you how to do matcha lattes. We've been really into those lately, and it seems a little intimidating, I feel like, to make them at home. But once you do, like, you have them whenever you want, and you can save a lot of money because they're very expensive at coffee shops. So let me know if that's of interest or if there's other requests. And if you have any requests for recipes that you'd like to see me post in the coming weeks for my site. Alright, I'm starting to smell a little bit of the walnuts now, so I'm just going to leave them for another minute. Pardon the wall of Spam. I got my husband a Spam sampler pack for Christmas because he loves Spam. He loves the kind of crazy flavors, and this was this like Hawaiian seller on Amazon has like tons of different flavors. I mean, like garlic, chorizo, jalapeno, bacon, cheese. We had one yesterday with tocino. I think that's how you say it. It's like a Filipino spice blend, and it was sweet. It was crazy, but good, surprisingly. Okay, so I've got some garlic. I'm gonna add some kosher salt to it and just kind of smush it around until it forms a paste. That'll make it a little more mellow for when it goes into the dip. So it is raw garlic, but it won't feel as much like raw garlic. I'm gonna pour the walnuts in here. Okay. Do you guys go out for New Year's Eve? Do you stay home? I've not been really into going out for New Year's Eve for a long time. I'd rather not be on the road when all the people leave the parties, but to each their own. Just stay safe because I won't be back live until next year. So I'm just kind of smashing this into a paste, using the salt as an abrasive. So just kind of smush and chop a little bit. Alright, and that goes into the food processor also. Jess, husband and I usually stay home, not big into the party scene. Yeah, I feel it. Plus, it's a lot less expensive, and you can even, like, you can have people over and have really great stuff, and then you don't have to leave your house. Um, I don't know. Your money goes a lot further, especially if you have kids and you need babysitters, and it's like a whole other thing. So, okay. We've got peppers, breadcrumbs, walnuts, garlic. We need a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. This just kind of like brightens it up a bit. You can always taste it after you blend it together and see if it feels like it's a little too bland. You can add a little more salt or lemon juice. Just kind of experiment with it. Okay, so a tablespoon of lemon juice. Pomegranate molasses. 2 teaspoons of that. So a little bit of the stuff goes a long way. It's really good. I need to find some more recipes to use it in because I don't use it a ton, but whenever I do, it just really adds this really interesting flavor. People usually ask what's in whatever dish you're serving with it. You can see how slow that pours. It's very thick. Okay, so 2 teaspoons of that. All right. And some cumin and red pepper flakes. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of ground cumin. That's one of the reasons I like these measuring spoons. I don't know if you guys have ones like this. They're double-ended, so if I've got like liquidy stuff in one end, I can still use the other end of the same measurement without having to wash it. So a teaspoon of cumin. And then half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Red pepper flakes are the same if you see something that calls for chili flakes. It's the same thing. Here's my knife. I like getting them from Penzeys because they're, I don't know if, let's see if you can tell from here, but they're like, have you ever seen like really brown, kind of sad pepper flakes? That they're not very spicy, they don't have a whole lot of flavor. These ones are nice and red, and they definitely do their job. So, and I think they have different heat levels. I think I get like the standard heat, but I think they have like extra hot and all sorts of stuff. So, all right, we have everything in there. I'm gonna blend it until it's smooth in the food processor. I guess you could use a blender for this too if you wanted. I just tend to do it in the food processor because we're gonna blend this together and then we'll put we'll stream in extra virgin olive oil. Normally I would use regular olive oil, but since we're gonna be streaming this in and not cooking it, we're just having it raw, I prefer to use extra virgin. A lot of times when recipes call for frying things and they say to use extra virgin olive oil, I ignore that. I use regular olive oil. I feel like there's no purpose in wasting the kind of more expensive stuff. Where did you find those? I've been looking for good measuring cups. I have them in my Amazon shop. It's I linked it in the description here, but it's Amazon.com/shop/big flavors. But I'll bump it up to the top of my list after the live. I'll make a note to do that. I like them. They're also magnetic, so they nest inside of each other and they stick together. So I like them because they're easy to keep in one place. Because I have also like, you know, this style that's on a ring, and they're nice, but like you have to either take apart the ring, take them. It's a total like first world problem. Like, oh, I have to move my ring and, you know, rearrange things, but it's just quicker, and I like to have those double-sided ones. All right, so there's in my Amazon shop there's a section specifically for Facebook Lives for stuff that I use for these or that we talk about. So we're gonna process this until it's smooth. I usually do it a little bit, and then you can see, I'll show you. Right now it's this thick, like, So I'm always like trying to find where the light will show you. It's this thick kind of sandy paste right now. So I usually do it a little bit, scrape down the sides to make sure all those breadcrumbs and the garlic and the walnuts are getting in there evenly. So everything is pretty much combined now and like evenly sized. There's nothing, you know, no large chunks of anything in there. But so now we're gonna do some extra virgin olive oil. The amount you're gonna need will depend on how much your breadcrumbs absorb. So I think I usually use about 3/4 cup, which sounds like a lot, but you're making a big dip for people, usually part of like a larger meal. But I generally do 3/4 cup. You can just drizzle it in with the motor running straight from the bottle until it looks like a good consistency, but if you want to kind of keep an eye on how much you're using, measure it first. So you're going to put the motor on. Most food processors have, hi Ellen, oh you're in Queens. Oh my gosh. Are you in town this weekend? I want to see you. Anyway, so usually there's pulse, which means like you press it and it only is moving while you're pressing the button. So, and then mine has a low and a high. So if you push low, it stays on the whole time, and high does the same, just at a faster speed. So I usually put it on low and slowly stream this in until the consistency looks like a good kind of scoopable, because we're going to be scooping it with pita bread. So. And you'll see as you're doing this, you'll see it kind of start to come together and emulsify, and instead of being this thick thing around the outside, it gets a little smoother. Again, I've just found for me, generally 3/4 cup makes it a good consistency. And again, this is super easy to double, triple for large batches. You can make it ahead of time like I'm doing today, stash it in the fridge, and then when you serve it, just garnish it at the end. All right, so now, oh man, it smells really, really good. So you can see it's like a, it's thicker, kind of the texture of hummus a little bit, but you can see like if you dipped a chip or a pita bread in there, you would get, sorry, I'm right-handed, this is a little backward here, but you get like a nice kind of consistency. You could add even a little bit more olive oil to this. I feel like that might be overkill. So I think I'm going to leave it here, but I'm just going to process it a little bit more to get it a little bit smoother. I think I'm going to add a tiny bit more oil. Alright, so that's really all there is to it, and then all I'm going to do now is just kind of show you how I like to serve it. If you are making this in advance and not on Facebook Live where you want to show people how to garnish it, hi Tina, you could put it in a container with a lid in the fridge as is. And again, it's kind of like, looks like a romesco sauce with that color. I'm just going to garnish it now so you can see. I like to take, I don't know, I like these kind of little dishes with handles sometimes, and I'll pop foil over the top. Gives you a wide area to scoop from, because, you know, when you have like one of those little tiny bowls that somebody serves a dip out of and you're like losing your chips or your pita in it, it's just a little annoying. So I like to give ample space. I actually did a few weeks ago, it's on my Instagram feed, I did a board, like a Middle Eastern lunch appetizer kind of board, and I put this in one of the containers on the board, and it was a big hit. I also did like Turkish chicken salad and some, I think I did stuffed peppadew, peppers, pistachios, lots of Middle Eastern things like that. So I'm just taking this and kind of smearing it to level it. And I kind of like doing little, what would you call this? Like smear patterns, kind of, so that the topper oil has something to kind of collect in and pool in, because it looks pretty when you do it like that. So here's my dip. You just do a little bit of oil on top. This doesn't need much, especially since I added a little extra in there. And then a sprinkling of feta. I buy already crumbled feta. The kind in the block is great, but not necessarily for this, because it gives off a lot of moisture and it's kind of messy to work with. Not that this isn't messy, but I love feta. I usually end up bringing a little extra feta on the side if I'm bringing this to a party, so that if other people want to add a little more, they can. My plans for the rest of that are to use it with I have this farro salad that's got like avocados and cucumber and tomato and a vinaigrette and cilantro, and I put feta on top with the avocado. It's really good. It's like a cold salad. So you don't need to add parsley or cilantro to the top of it. I just think that it looks pretty. So that's what we have like now, like that. Just do a little sprinkle. So here's the dip. And then I serve it with pita. I like to get, especially for when you're serving this as an appetizer, I like to get the mini pita breads. And I'll warm them before we serve it at the party later today. But I like to take them and cut them with scissors into little triangles. So I go in half, and then for the mini ones, I kind of do 3 out of each half, so it's 6 pieces total. And since I'm prepping this in advance, I'll put it back in the bag. And my plan is to take these cut up pitas on this little quarter sheet pan. I'll bring them like this. I'll bring the dip when I go to my friend's house like this, and then before we serve it, I'll dump the pita bread out onto this baking sheet and then heat everything up in their oven there. So I'll just show you. So we got this, and you just kind of like scoop a little, and that's it. Super easy and really tasty, garlicky. The texture, like, it's just really good. It's very different. People get a little sick of hummus sometimes, so this is kind of a similar texture but totally different flavor. So hi Velva. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I left a link to the post in the description. And that's it. I will see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Like I said, I'm thinking of doing matcha lattes, unless there are other requests that sound better for next week than that. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a safe New Year's Eve, whatever you decide to do, and let me know what you're making if you're serving appetizers or desserts or cocktails. I'd love to hear. Oh, my website is bigflavorstinyKitchen.com. I'm at Big Flavors on social media, on Twitter at Big Flavors Blog, and I have a link also in the description to my YouTube channel where I save all these after the fact and then I embed them into the post. So to keep them together, if you find a recipe on my site and I've done it on Facebook Live, the post video will be in there too. So have a great night, everybody.